I spent 12 years of my life building something I thought was mine. 12 years waking up early, staying late, working through weekends, skipping vacations, because that's what it meant to be a part of my family's jewelry business. My grandfather started it from nothing, passed it down to my father, and for as long as I could remember, I was supposed to be next in line. That's what my father always told me. That's what I had built my entire future around. But in the end, none of it mattered. 8 months ago, my father sat me down in our family home, the same home where I grew up dreaming about running the business one day, and told me it was no longer mine. He had decided to give it away, not to a trusted business partner, not to a long-time employee, but to my younger sister, the same sister who had walked away from us 15 years ago, the same sister who swore she didn't need our family, the same sister who only came back when she was engaged to a man dripping in wealth. I couldn't believe it. I had been there every single day, keeping the business running while my father's health declined. My sister, on the other hand, had been gone for over a decade, barely even calling to check in on us. And yet, in just 3 weeks, she and her fiancé had managed to replace me. I thought I knew betrayal before that moment. I had no idea. But here's the thing about life. It has a way of making things right, whether you expect it or not. Because 8 months later, I got a phone call. And everything changed again. I still remember the way my father looked at me that day. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He was fidgeting with his hands, his voice hesitant, like he knew what he was about to say was going to destroy me. And he was right. I've decided that your sister and her fiancé should take over the business, he said. Just like that. No warning, no discussion. I thought he was joking. I laughed, but the look on his face made my stomach drop. But why? I finally asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He wouldn't give me a real answer. Just vague excuses about how her fiancé came from a wealthy family with experience running businesses, how they had the potential to grow the company. But I knew the truth. My father was blinded by wealth. My sister's fiancé came from money, and in his mind, that somehow made them more qualified than me, I argued. I pleaded. I asked him why he had spent years telling me I would take over if he never meant it. He just shook his head. It's already decided, and just like that, 12 years of my life were erased. I walked out of that house that day, feeling like a stranger in my own family. I cut off all contact. If they didn't need me, then I didn't need them. But the worst part? My sister never even tried to defend me. She knew how much the business meant to me. She knew it was my life's work. And yet, she took it without hesitation, without guilt. She posted online about how grateful she was to our parents for this incredible gift. A gift. That's what my life's work was to her. A gift. 8 months passed. 8 months of struggling to figure out what to do with my life, of fighting off the depression that threatened to consume me. The business had been everything to me, and without it, I felt lost. Then, 1 week ago, I got a phone call. It wasn't from my father's number. I had blocked him. It was from an unknown number. But when I picked up, I immediately recognized his weak, tired voice. "Please," he said, "come to the hospital." My father had suffered a heart attack in the middle of the night. And the worst part? My sister and her fiancé were nowhere to be found. I rushed to the hospital, expecting to see them there, but it was just my mother and a few other relatives. When I asked where my sister was, my father just shook his head. "They said they're too busy," he admitted. Too busy. Too busy to visit the man who had given them everything. That's when he finally admitted the truth. "They don't care," he whispered. I made a mistake. For the first time in my life, I saw regret in my father's eyes. And then he said, the words that changed everything. "I want you to take back the business." It wasn't easy. My sister fought hard to keep it. She screamed at my father, at me. She said I was stealing from her, that I was ruining her life. But the truth was clear. She never cared about the business. She cared about what it could do, for her. And now that she knew she was losing it, the facade was crumbling. My father started legal proceedings immediately. Thankfully, he had never fully transferred ownership. He had only been preparing to. That made it easier to take back. But then something happened that confirmed everything. My sister called me, her voice shaking. "We need this job," she said. "My fiancé's family is in trouble. His father's business is failing. We have nothing left." So that was it. They had never wanted the jewelry business to run it. They had wanted it as a backup plan. I thought about giving her a job. I really did. But then I remembered how she had watched me suffer for 8 months without a second thought. How she had ignored our father in his time of need. How she had taken what was mine without an ounce of guilt. And I realized something. I didn't owe her anything. I told her no. She lost it. She stormed into my office screaming, calling me selfish, saying I was ruining her life. But all I could think was, she never cared about ruining mine. I told her to leave. She wouldn't. So I called security. That was the last time I saw her. Now, I'm the official CEO of our family's jewelry business. My father is recovering, and for the first time in a long time, I finally feel at peace. As for my sister, I don't know. And honestly, I don't care. Because in the end, karma has a way of making things right. And this time it was on my side. This experience taught me something important. Never let anyone convince you that you don't deserve what you've worked for. Family is important, but so is self-respect. And sometimes, walking away from toxic people is the best thing you can do for yourself. If you've ever been betrayed like this, just know, you will come out stronger. And one day, you'll look back and realize, they never deserved you in the first place. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so and hit the notification bell to stay updated with more shocking real-life stories happening around you.